Brand Equity. I'm Sonali Krishna, and this is the show that gets you the pulse of the big brand world of marketing and advertising. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight to business and look at what's lined up for you in the next half hour. Feeding the national belly has never been so demanding before. The average Indian household now experiments more. The dal roti routine is replaced by sushi and pasta at home, and food marketers are scurrying to be the first in line to provide the changing food demands of the Indian consumer. Priyanka Pradhan and Samriti Grover track the changes in the food consumption and find out how it impacts the category in the Indian market.
From bhutta to baby corn, from aloo methi to avocado, Indian food tastes have changed considerably in the last couple of years. And as we step into yet another decade, the way food companies market and advertise food products is going to undergo a sea of change. The Indian food market has grown from $175 billion to approximately $250 billion this year, while the share of the food processing industry has shown a leap from $70 billion in 2003 to $110 billion this year. The food and vegetables category has also seen a change wherein the market size of processed items went from $1.8 billion in 2003 to $13.2 billion currently.
The first and foremost probably might be the number of women who are getting into the workforce, and as a result of that having much lesser time to eat. The second part is exposure, international and domestic, where people's palates are getting to be much more adventurous.
Travel hugely contributes to it, because I think that will often become the first point of experimentation. Or when you have food chains which enter this country, so whether it's a pizza chain or a burger chain, all that will tempt you to attempt many of these newer food categories which you've never sort of experimented with in the past.
The change in the Indian food palette has prompted the trend of exotic food and vegetables being sold at local supermarkets. High-end stores in the country are testifying the popularity of different ingredients in the daily diet.
There's a whole range of exotic world food, ingredients, beverages, cheese, delicatessen, boulangerie, patisserie, wines. I mean, there is nothing from around the world that we do not have. We are done with our matar paneer and our rajma chawal. We've had that, and that's available dime a dozen. It's time to experiment with alternate cuisines. I mean, today Japanese food is just as popular. Ingredients of Japanese food are just as popular in our store as ingredients for, let's say, Italian or Thai. We sell very minimal quantities of Indian grocery actually. So the focus for us is really on food that people want to try.
Spurring this trend is the heightened interest in international food varieties. With double-income families in urban areas, more disposable income, eating out at multi-cuisine diners exposes Indians to bring more into their daily food. Gourmet restaurants are testimony to the gastronomic adventures of the young Indian.
Take for example fish. Until maybe a few years ago, it was your typical rawat, surmai and pomfret that existed. Today you can walk into a supermarket and you can actually buy Vietnamese sea bass, and you can buy Chilean fish, and you can buy, there are all kinds of imports that are coming in. And I think that is also leading to experimentation at home, because you're watching these shows, you're traveling, you're experiencing great food outside, and now you have the ingredients available to you in enough and more stores around the country.
The consumer is also seen opting for processed and packaged food simply because it's more convenient. He is willing to pay more for Tetra-packed milk, pre-cut cauliflower and carrots, and ready-made pastes. Convenience is the key for today's food marketers.
I think there's a lot of focus on processed foods. It has been going up. As a category, it has been growing. And within processed food itself, there are number of subcategories, and therefore we find that across subcategories, particularly discretionary spend items, snacks, beverages, the growth has been Very, very good.
Ready to eat kind of foods and health foods are probably growing at about 25 or 30% thereabouts. So across segments there is growth. Mature industries are a little less, or mature segments are a little less, but the emerging segments are growing faster. There is no doubt about that.
Another big trend emerging in the food category is the health issue. Everything from the never heard of before probiotic dairy products to baked snacks to the health enhancing variety of tea. Everyone's chanting the health mantra, and that's a big cue for marketers to act on.
People are ready to experiment. They want to eat the latest diet regime or the latest fad in the market. The field of nutrition is a lot like the fashion industry, where trends come and go. It's constantly in a state of flux, and but they happen at predictable intervals. So people are ready to experiment. They want to eat healthy outside, and therefore they go on to the gourmet soups and the salads and the exotic. There's a whole variety of salads today available, which was not available in the yesteryears.
Going forward, food retailers are tweaking their strategy to align themselves with the changing preferences of Indians.
I think we are looking at burning the scandal from both ends. I think there is a whole lot of focus on the international cuisine and looking at today hummus bread or pita bread or different kind of Lebanese spreads are are things which a normal consumer also knows. So at one part of time experimenting with a lot of international foods and getting that onto the palate, and at the other end doing a real deep dive into what various communities have. I think what we are trying to do is to layer the country into the major communities, because what we believe is that our stores don't serve more than three. If you take the three dominant communities in the catchment of a store, that will constitute to almost 90% of the consumers that they serve.
Thanks to the popularity of the multi-cuisine restaurants and the desire to experiment, the young Indian's taste palette is changing fast. Add to that, the ability to pick up an almost ready-to-eat meal at the supermarket itself makes the Indian kitchen a far more convenient place and the food retailers a far happier lot.
Well, some very interesting insights there. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Brand Equity. We'd love to hear from you, so do write in to brandequity@etnow.tv with your thoughts on the show. Do come back next week to find out what's making waves in the world of brands. Until next week, goodbye.